Zeztz 38 confuses character movement for character growth. What do I mean by that? Knox, Odaka, whatever you want to call him. By the end of the episode, he has this big power up, and he's kind of officially with Team Zeztz. So he's working with Baku, and he's fighting against Code, and he's made some big things happen. He's got the new toy, he's got the new suit, he has killed 3. Spoiler warning, if you haven't watched the episode yet, you should have for my analysis, because I really, I'm willing to go. I don't cover everything, but I cover everything. Somehow that works. Anyway, he has these things happen to him. He reaches these new milestones. His status quo changes, at least externally, but internally, we don't really get to see it. He just got released at the end of last episode, I believe, from the control that 3 had him under, that he took over him with the Lord system. And in this episode, he stands up and he says, I will fight against Code. And then he says, I'm willing to give my life up so that I can take down Code. So he's ready to die. And by the end of the episode, he doesn't want to throw his life away, and he was able to win without having to put his life in danger, really, at all, it seems. And he even, I would argue, has an easy time fighting 3. It doesn't seem like it's, it's super easy. It's barely an inconvenience to fight him. And I feel like the suit actor was told to kind of like no-sell some of his fighting and to make it look effortless. And I think he did a pretty good job of that. At least that's what I saw. There's one kick to 3, like to the chest, I think, in particular that I'm thinking of, that just, it looked easy, and it looked like he wasn't trying. He wasn't putting a lot of effort into it. And yet 3, fairly flew away from him in the aftermath of the impact of his foot with his sternum or whatever it was. So this is disappointing. It's especially disappointing coming off of seeing Baku fight without a belt at all, fight only using the capsims. In this episode, he sort of earns back the extreme belt. And this is all happening in the context of the subconscious world, of the sleeping world, not in the waking world. So I'm not exactly sure on, well, I don't want to get distracted by that. So let me focus back in. The thing about Baku earning extreme back, getting it back, I should say, is that he spent 2 or maybe 3 episodes without extreme. And yet he's been able to be so effective and so capable and do so much. And if I had stated previously when the premonition ended, oh, it's amazing how much Baku grew as a person and as a character and as a warrior because of the 24 hours or the 6 months that he spent in the premonition, and it's paying off. It did something to him. It changed him. It had an effect on him. And to bring it back to what I was saying about what's going on with Odaka, Odaka has physically moved and his status quo has changed, and yet I don't really see an internal growth in him. Whereas with Baku, we do get to see that in 2 instances. One, when he wakes up from premonition, he's literally in the same place, he's in the same hospital bed where he received the shock to the heart in order to keep him going with the driver on him. But also, we see that he's grown as a person, and he's handling things so much differently from episode 25 and on than he did in episodes 1 through 24, because he's carried that growth with him, and we've seen that growth. So while he didn't have a physical status change from being in one place to another, we could see all this growth within him. Whereas here, I'm thinking Odaka isn't really showing growth, even though he's had the movement from one place to another. He's not static as far as what he has around him, his accessories and things like that, but effectively he feels like he's static, and that's really frustrating. I think part of it is because he didn't have enough time being free of the control of 3 before he could really struggle with who he is and what he's doing and what he's willing to do and what he's not willing to do in order to get this power, this great power of Midnight Shadow or whatever it's called. And I recently was watching a movie where this character said, talking about the distinction between a trip and a journey. And they said basically a trip gets you from point A to point B, and a journey changes you as you go along the way. And I feel like we got to see, as I established, as I talked about, Baku really go on a journey as a character. And yet here, Knox, Odaka, is going on a trip. And that's it. And he's almost going from having, which he had in the premonition, he had the invoker system, I believe. No, did he? Whatever. He had the knight system. Um, no, he had the Kamen Rider Knox suit with the weird double hole thingy. And then he gets his upgrade in this episode with the big interlocking gear midnight shadow switch, whatever, switch knob. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, he gets that thing. And I don't really feel like he took a journey to get to that. The way that things looked in the preview for the episode, it looked like he was going into darkness. Like he was making a trek into darkness. And then for a moment in the body of the episode, the actual episode, it looked like he was going to trek into darkness and be immersed in it for some time. That's not what we saw. He made one strike at darkness, and the darkness blinked, and the darkness folded, and the darkness became his. And then I think that actually immediately turned into the toy, the new toy, the upgrade. It turned into Midnight Shadow. And before that, he had fought with the darkness nightmare, but he wasn't scared anymore. And there's this whole thing about how Fujimi he bet him that he would, whoever was right about the nightmares being a real thing or not being a real thing would owe the other guy drinks for life. And Odaka's already stated that he's willing to give up his life in order to expose Code's secrets and take them down. He will descend into darkness, and he will take Code down with him, is what he says. Fujimi doesn't want to see that happen. He just met the guy again after looking for him for years, I believe. And he gives an emotional speech, an emotional plea to Odaka to not just throw his life away because what about their bet? And maybe that's what gives Odaka the sense that he should preserve his life and treat his life as sacred and not just throw it away. But I don't really feel it. I think had we had a few episodes of him recovering from having been Three's vassal, that's a good way to put it, and then him struggling to fight with Three and try to overcome him in some way, but not having enough power, and then realizing that he, like Baku, has to face his nightmare, the darkness that he was so scared of before, and take that power and make it his own, and then get a full upgrade with that, and then confront Three. That could be a lot more satisfying. That's 2 to 4 episodes, I think, what I just described. And it would really feel impactful because I really felt nothing when he won. Partly because the fight seemed so effortless, and partly because it felt like I was supposed to feel that way. It felt like we were there because that's where they needed him to be at this point in time. It felt like he wasn't getting the focus he needed. It felt like the promise that was made was betrayed. And it was a silent, visual promise. His hand reaching out as he was going to go into the darkness and go away. He said he was going to descend into darkness and take Code with him. And he does this. He manipulates the dream world. He opens up a wall. He disappears through it. And then later on, we see darkness descending and all these things. And there's just no payoff to it. There's no real commitment to anything. And he doesn't have to go through anything really in a extended dramatized way. It's almost like we're being told what's happening with him as opposed to being shown, which is shocking to me and pretty frustrating because it's a great looking suit. I like Odaka. I like Knox. I've wanted his redemption. He's finally back. He's finally on, on the same level with Baku and agreeing with him ideologically. And then we get this very weak, very tepid demonstration of that. And it's just, I think it's too bad. It just doesn't work. Anyway, I have a lot more to say about the episode. You can find that if you check the pinned comment, you can find my inspector's notes where I'm going to dive deeper into the episode because there's a lot more to say, but just this was not good. It was very disappointing. It was the worst episode of Zeztz so far. Let me know if you agree or disagree, what you think about Odaka, Knox's journey, etc. Leave a comment. Until next time, folks, this is MJ with Rider Tears and Henshin Inspection signing out.